The 90s was the golden era of hip-hop. There was no shortage of phenomenal rap artists during this decade, but there's one who's most remembered and cherished. Today, About the Music is all about Tupac Shakur. Tupac's star burned bright. Since his death, he's been deemed a rap icon and a legend. But is he the greatest of all time? If you're a hip-hop fan, you know who Tupac Shakur is. Heck, even if you're not a hip-hop fan, you probably know who Tupac Shakur is. He was born Lassane Parish Crooks to Afeni Shakur in East Harlem on June 16, 1971. His life and death have been studied and analyzed many times over. We haven't seen a rapper quite like Tupac since his demise, and I think we spend so much time focusing on the chaos and the activism that we overlook just how important Tupac was to the culture of hip-hop. If we fast forward past Tupac's time, we see Jay-Z and Diddy marrying hip-hop and liquor with their spirits Douce and Ciroc. But long before either of these men could have a seat at that table, Tupac was branding his homemade cocktail Thug Passion, which was a mix of Alizé and Cristal. Now, of course, this wasn't his own liquor, but the free promotion and the heightened public interest in Alizé and Cristal that came from that promotion laid the groundwork for the relationship that would later be formed between liquor brands and rap artists. Tupac was also the first hip-hop artist to successfully connect rap and high fashion. He walked in a Milan fashion show wearing an original Versace suit.
I live a thug life, baby, I'm hopeless. Yeah, till I die. Till I die.
We know the silk Versace shirt was to Tupac like Coogi sweaters were to Big, but Gianni Versace himself actually invited Pac to walk in that show. Now, today, if you were to ask Kanye, he'll say he was the first rapper to mix hip-hop and high fashion. Long before Ye was rapping through the wire, Tupac was partnering with high fashion brands.
They're gonna love it. They're gonna love it. He was nervous. He was very nervous. And every fashion show we went to in Italy, Romeo Gigli, Versace, Fendi, every fashion show, they wanted Tupac to sit front row, and they wanted him to dress in their garments. So every day after the fashion show was done, we'd have to go to a fashion house, get him clothed for the next day. And I'd have to make sure he was in those clothing, in that clothing for the next day.
Tupac also put Karl Kani on the map. When Tupac died, the public's interest in Karl Kani kind of died as well. And actually, it's kind of like when he stopped wearing it, it faded from popularity. Although, now that I'm making this video, I wouldn't mind a Karl Kani hoodie. Just nostalgia. Just bring it back a little bit. Since Pac, Raekwon, A$AP Rocky, Travis Scott, and Pharrell, just to name a few, have taken advantage of hip-hop's close connection to fashion. But Pac was the first hip-hop artist to break the barrier between hip-hop and high fashion. Yes, LL and FUBU, but FUBU wasn't Versace, and it wasn't high fashion. Tupac was also very charismatic, as we know, and it's true that his energy and straightforward in-your-face attitude is probably the reason why he is at the top of everyone's list more than his lyrical prowess. And I don't care how you feel about that, we've all heard it. We've heard Pac is not lyrical, Pac wasn't as lyrical as Big, but he was so much more than that. It was that his energy and his charm that elevated him above Big. It was that charm and energy and personality that helped him land roles beside Tim Roth, Jim Belushi, James Earl Jones, and Janet Jackson. Pac was making Hollywood take notice of rappers. He was letting them know that just because he's a rapper, he would not be boxed in. His talent was far beyond his ability on the mic. After Pac, Jay-Z rose to fame. And Jay-Z quickly began to understand the money he was leaving on the table from the free promotion he gave brands like Iceberg and Cristal when he referenced them in his work. And see, with hip-hop, there's always been mention of jewelry and mention of fashion and always bragging about the brand names that you're wearing and the jewelry that you're wearing, or maybe even the liquor that you're drinking. But if you go back in time to a lot of older artists, that was free promotion. They weren't paid to wear those brands and promote those brands. They were simply bragging on having the money to afford those brands. And Jay-Z kind of came in to the industry and quickly picked up on the money that he could gain from charging to mention those brands.
You are associated with a number of brands, HP, Coca-Cola, Budweiser. How do you decide who you want your name, your brand, your voice tied to, and what companies you don't?
I try to. Sometimes it's just more about relationships. I pretty much try to work with brands if there's some sort of partnership there. No, I don't typically do a one-off endorsement deals. I've just never been interested in that. It's just more so if I can create some sort of partnership. You know, the Coca-Cola was a partnership. You know, I was a brand manager, acted as at one time. So I pretty much look for partners.
Very, very intelligent. And I think he actually just kind of picked up from where Pac left off. Because Pac was just getting into fashion and, being invited to sit front row at these fashion shows and walking in these fashion shows. He died before he fully understood everything that was in his reach. So unfortunately, Pac didn't live long enough to understand. But the path he created left everyone watching hip hop. I think if Pac would have had good management and maybe Jay-Z's business acumen, not only would he still be alive, but he would have been the first billionaire rap artist. All of the pieces were there. He really, really had a lot right in his reach. So like I said, we haven't seen a rapper like Pac since Pac. He had the look, the style, the talent, and the charm. Rap's reach grew exponentially because of Tupac. Pac made the world pay attention to an art form that was considered quote-unquote hood, and he made Hollywood and high fashion want a piece of that ghetto art form. That is why he's GOAT'd. If you enjoyed this video, give that like button some thug passion, and I'll see you on the next one.